Okay, there's no kidding that we have had a ton of rain this year. The water levels are insane in all the Great Lakes. But do you know what that does mean? It means that grass is growing better this year than it ever has. And it totally reflects in this 100% grass-fed Ontario beef. This stuff is coming from Manitoulin Island, and it's absolutely sensational this year. I'm going to send it over to our friends at Pure Island Beef, and they're going to talk to you about the conditions they have and what's making their beef so sensational.
I thought you might like a worm's eye view of our pasture here. There's more here than meets the eye. A pasture like this is kind of a cooperation between the natural world and the cultivated world. And there are both wild and domestic plants in a pasture like this. And my job is to maintain a kind of a balance between the two using different techniques. But let's just take a close look here and I'll introduce you to some of my favorite plants. You probably recognize this as clover. Clover is a member of the legume family, which is a group of plants that have little nodules on the roots. And the nodules form homes for microorganisms that take nitrogen out of the air, which is not usable to plants, and converts it into a form that plants can use. And when a plant has lots of available nitrogen, it can produce proteins. So I like clover because it adds protein to the diet of the cattle that graze on this. And protein is often in short supply, so that's why that plant is a good thing. If you cruise around a little bit, you'll see this plant here, which is not very significant yet, so early in the pasture season. It's early June, but this is bird's foot trefoil, and it gets its name from the seed pods that it forms. It looks like the three-toed foot of a songbird, and it's also a legume. It has the ability to do very well in a grazing situation like this. So sometimes people like me will spread legume seed around in the wintertime when there's still a little bit of snow left in March and some frost, some freezing and thawing cycles yet to happen. That freezing and thawing will open up the soil, and trefoil is one of the things that does very well in a situation like that. So I can improve the trefoil content in a pasture like this without plowing or cultivating, just by spreading seed at the right time of the year. Now this grass here, this is also a cultivated plant. This is called orchard grass. It's not my favorite grass. It does grow very well, and it provides bulk in the diet, but as you can see here, it's already forming seed heads. And when a grass starts to form seed, its nutrition value decreases. So the reason I'm out here today is to rearrange the fences so I can get the cattle out on this section to get them to chew it down and move on to the next section. The grass and pasture always gets a little bit ahead of us at this time of the year, meaning it gets a little more mature than I'd like it to, because even though we have 50-something head of cattle here, they can't keep up with it. They can't keep up with the flush of spring growth. So clover, trefoil, orchard grass, those are the three main domesticated plants that are here. But as I said, a pasture like this is a kind of a cooperation between nature and mankind. And so there are lots of wild plants here. Let's see if we can find some. Well, of course, there's the dandelion. You can't stop them from moving in, but you don't really want to, because they have a deep taproot, and they're going to, in the course of their growth, bring up nutrients from deeper than other plants can reach. So I'm happy to have the dandelions here. There's also, here we go, wild strawberry plants. They never really amount to very large berries. They're just about the size of a store-bought blueberry, even on a good year when we get some rains, and sometimes if things dry out, we don't get any strawberries at all, but they are delicious. There's a lot of flavor packed into these little berries when they mature. There's a teeny weeny little berry there forming, and this flower will be pollinated soon and form into another berry as well. So it's kind of a quick tour of where food starts. It always starts with photosynthesis, and in this grassland pasture here on Manitoulin Island, it goes from plants to cattle to grass-fed beef on people's tables. Cattle are skittish sometimes, a little bit cautious, but as you can see here, one's gone through, and they're all following suit. If nothing, there's a serious herd mentality here with a bunch of cattle this large. There are, of course, some who don't really get it just yet. They're wondering why their buddies have nicer grass than they do. All they have to do is come through this open gate, and I'll leave it open until they all go through, and then I'll close them. The idea here is to give this grass some rest. They've eaten off as much as I want them to eat. We've had some rain, so they're tramping up a bit too, so I want to get them onto something fresh. Give this a chance to recharge. We'll probably have them back here again in, I don't know, 2 or 3 weeks, perhaps. And they're certainly going to be growing well. We've had a great start to the pasture season. And eventually these guys will meet up with their friends and enjoy that second field grass.